Well, hello and welcome everyone to tonight's travel talk. Thank you for joining us. We have a very special guest tonight. We have Teri Miller from Tourism New Zealand, who's going to tell us all about New Zealand and give us a peek at this beautiful island nation. So without further ado, Teri, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Owen. It's so great to be here, and I'm excited to tell you all about New Zealand. It's such a beautiful country, and as I was telling Owen, I've been selling New Zealand for about 30 years, so I'm excited to pass on all my experience with the country. Okay, just bear with me while So when traveling down to New Zealand, you do need the North America residents do need a valid passport, and it has to be valid for at least 3 months after you arrive back into the US. We also require an electric visa that you need when traveling down to New Zealand. The cost is $35 for the visa and then a $12 registration fee. A lot of that proceeds from the visa cost goes back into the land of New Zealand. So they're very into sustainability. So they provide maybe planting trees or building, habitats for birds. So it goes to a good cause. Why New Zealand? Well, New Zealand's one of the things is it's very beautiful, gorgeous landscapes. We have a Maori culture that is above any other culture because of such the diverse culture that they have. So, for instance, they have a lot of Maori centers across New Zealand. They have performances. They have hangi, which is their way of feasting on the land. We have unique experiences that beautiful landscapes, mountaintops, unique experiences like the glowworm caves, Hobbiton, a lot of national parks, very beautiful to experience. And also we have world-class wine and food. So we really love our Sauvignon Blancs and Pinot Noirs from the Otago area. And the food is all fresh. So everything is sustainable. Some of the things that you might like would be like a meat pie that they're famous for down there, or their lamb. And then also the people, the New Zealand people are called Kiwis. So the Kiwis are very friendly. They welcome you into the home. They treat you like family and friends. And it just makes your experience with New Zealand very memorable. To give you an idea of how big New Zealand is, it's the same size as California and the UK. And it only has 5.1 million people on the islands. And just to give you an idea, California has 38 million people in California and 67 million people in the UK. So it kind of gives you an idea of how sparse and how so much land and beauty that you get to see. And they do say that we're on the bottom of the world, but from this map, as you can see, we're right in the center of it. So right now we have 10 airlines that are traveling to New Zealand. We're very excited. It's been the most connectivity that we've had in years. 6 of the 10 airlines are non-stops that will take you right to New Zealand. And we're really excited. They go every day. And if you're part of a membership or frequent flyer program, you could use your frequent flyer program on the airlines to go down there, but the frequency is wonderful. We're really excited. It's the most it's been in a long time, and we're really, really happy about that. And we want you to take the airline to get down to our beautiful country. So everything is close in New Zealand. So the longest flight within New Zealand is from Auckland to Queenstown, and that's an hour and 55 minutes. Everything is really close. There's two main islands. There's a North Island and a South Island. There's two international airports, and that would be in Auckland, New Zealand, and also Christchurch. And what's great is United Airlines has just started a flight at the end of October that flies directly from San Francisco to Christchurch. So you could go right to the South Island. So the North Island is a warmer climate. It's more populated. So the drives are a little bit shorter, a little bit more cosmopolitan style on the North Island. And it's known for its geothermal and beautiful scenery. So for the North Island, we have a variety of water sports like sailing, dolphin watching in the Bay of Islands. We also, the Coromandel Peninsula has some kayaking, and actually in Tauranga, there is some kite boarding. The North Island has wonderful, diverse coastal areas. It's absolutely beautiful, as this picture you can see. Lots of things to do. And of course, the water's warmer. There's also one of the top diving spots up in the North Island called Tutukaka. Now, Hobbiton is in the North Island. It's in a city called Matamata. And this is one of my favorite spots to go to. I love it. It's magical. And I'm not even a Lord of the Rings fan or a Hobbit fan, but I love this place. I've been here about 6 times. And the tour guides are wonderful. They tell you how it came about that Hobbiton was built here for the movies, which is really interesting, and little tidbits about all the stuff that happened during filming of The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. There's a new tour that you could have dinner in the Mill House. Beautiful, like an old-fashioned, stew, bread, a fun event. And then after that, you're each giving a lantern, and you get to walk around with the tour guide in night with the lantern and with all the lighting, and it's literally magical. So if you ever go down there, everybody, definitely try the Hobbiton Mill House dinner. So our Maori culture, like I said earlier, the New Zealanders really embrace their Maori culture. There's a lot of culture centers around. Wellington, our capital of New Zealand, has a beautiful museum, Te Papa, and that has Maori artifacts and exhibits that are just amazing. There's also the Waitangi Treaty Ground up in the Northern California. And when you go up in the Northern Island, up north close to the Bay of Islands, it's really great because you come out of there, it's very spiritual. So you come out of there after going through the treaty grounds and listening to the tour guides, or just going through it and how they, just honor their ancestors. It's very spiritual, and you come away just embracing the Maori culture. So on the South Island is a little cooler climate. It's less populated, so the driving's kind of easy because there's no traffic on the road. And while driving, you'll see these beautiful glaciers, these turquoise lakes. It's just absolutely beautiful. And it's just the most dramatic scenery and landscapes that you'll ever see. I've been down there several times, and I've never tired of the scenery. Some of the things to do in the South Island is going to Kaikoura and swim with the dolphins. Kaikoura also offers whale watching. You get to see the sperm whales and dolphins all playing around out there. I guess the Kaikoura is known for its abundance of seabirds also. So it's a really, if you like nature, if you like animals, if you like anything like that, the beautiful beaches, Kaikoura is a wonderful place to go in the South Island. The South Island also has beautiful mountains. So we have Mount Cook, which is the highest peak on the Southern Alps, and it's beautiful. They actually have trips out there to look at the night sky. So they'll have an astronomer. You go out about 10:30 in the evening, and you have astronomers with big telescopes telling you about all the constellations and the Southern Star, and it's just amazing. I did it one time, and it was just so beautiful, and the brightest beautiful sky I've ever seen. It's a great thing to try. And we also around Queenstown have the Southern Alps, so those are very magnificent, seeing those. And then if you're into adventure, Queenstown is the adventure capital of the world. I mean, they started bungee jumping. There's also hang gliding, skydiving, jet boating, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of unique things that you could do in Queenstown. And then it's against a beautiful landscape of the Southern Alps and the Remarkables. So, whoops, I didn't turn that. Oh, I forgot to turn that. So the weather down there. So they're opposite. New Zealand's opposite seasons of us here in North America. So peak season is the summertime. So that's December to February. This is a good time to go, but it's a busy time to go. So a lot of people, not only is there's a lot of tourists down there because the weather's nice, but a lot of New Zealanders take their vacation during this time. So we always recommend maybe going in autumn or spring, which is what we call the shoulder season. So that is, the autumn is March to May, and the spring is September to November. Not only is there kind of less people, usually prices are a little bit lower, and more activities that you could do, a little less crowded. Wintertime, if you're into winter sports like skiing and snowboarding and going up to the glacier and hitting a golf ball, wintertime is great. It's a great time for you guys to go. The currency, this is to me the best part, because from us here in America, the currency is a really great value. So right now, for every US dollar, you get $1.67 New Zealand. So that means that you get a lot more money than it's worth, than you think you have. So when you go to New Zealand and you come back and you see the credit card payments, it's not as much as you think it is. So they take ATM machines, they take all credit cards. I always go down and buy my Lululemon down there because of the exchange is so good. And the prices are the exact same here in America, but because of the exchange, I get about 45% off of the Lululemon. So that's just a tidbit, and some other things too. You know, some of my makeup I go down there for. So I have a whole list of things that I go down there for. I always take an extra suitcase just in case I need it. What to wear? So layer, layer, layer. That's what I always say. Summer is fantastic, but you should always take a jacket just in case it cools down in the evening. They have a jumper here, but a jumper is a sweater to New Zealanders. Fall and spring are about the same. Just maybe wearing pants, a top, a sweater, maybe bring a jacket. It's just always good. If it does rain, it's a short rain usually. And then wintertime, it does get cold. Further down south on the South Island is colder than the Northern Island. So down south, if you get to Queenstown, it will snow and get pretty pretty cold. But if you have the right gear and if you're there for winter sports, it's a wonderful place. Okay, getting around. So getting around, planes, trains, and automobiles. So it's self-driving. The driving's on the left-hand side of the road, but because it's a little bit more wide open, it's a little bit easier. I find it kind of easier than here in Los Angeles, but that's only because there's not that many traffic. But and the speed limit is about 100 kilometers an hour. So I find it very easy. You just have to be conscious of, what side of the road you're in. But some of the places, especially down the South Island, you won't see another car. So always try that. We also have the ferry. Now this ferry is the inter-island ferry. So this ferry is between the North Island and the South Island. And it's about a 3.5 hour commute, but they have all kinds of things. They have a movie theater on there. They have games that you could play on there. This is through the Marlborough Sound, which is on the South Island. It's my favorite place to go, another magical place. It's beautiful. You could get green lip mussels and then also Sauvignon Blanc, if anybody likes Sauvignon Blanc, the wine, beautiful wines. But this is very good. You could also, depending if you're renting a car, you could take your car, but there's certain car rental places that will not take the car rental. So you will have to drop the car off on one side of the island and then pick it up on the other island. But it's very convenient. It's kind of a wonderful, relaxing time of getting between the two islands. Or you could fly between the two islands too. We have Air New Zealand within New Zealand, flies everywhere within the country. There's also scenic railroads. This is absolutely beautiful. This is a great way to see the landscapes. We have a transalpine that goes through all the mountains. And then we also have a coastal train that you could see all the coastal towns and land and beautiful ocean scenes. It's just gorgeous just to sit back. They have beautiful food on board. You could take a 1-day trip up to a 3 or 4-day trip. I think there's even a 7-day trip that you could take on the train. And some of the unique things that we can offer you in New Zealand, if you wanted to have be in a hot tub on the top of a glacier, looking over a vast, beautiful landscape, we could do that for you. It looks cold, but I haven't been there, but people have told me that it's really great. It's a great experience. You could have wine or champagne served there, and just a lot of fun things to do. And you could even have a helicopter take you up if you want. So helicopters are very popular in New Zealand. Also, I mentioned it earlier, if you want to tee off at 4,500 feet, it's the most picturesque hole that you'll ever see. You could hit some golf balls off the cliff, off the mountain. And it's absolutely beautiful. That's looking over Queenstown right there. So you could kind of see the little town of Queenstown. There's also, I don't know if anybody has heard of Milford Sound. Milford Sound is this beautiful, where the Tasman Sea meets the lake there. And you could actually take a helicopter there. It's a half-hour helicopter ride or a half-hour plane ride. To drive there, it's about 4 hours each direction. But you can stay there for a couple of days. You could stay in this beautiful ship, which houses, I think, 9 staterooms, and they're en suite. And you could go anywhere from 2 days to 7 days, and you'll get to see the beautiful fiordlands and all the wildlife, the fur seals. And just I've done it several times, and it just takes my breath away every time. The water in some parts is turquoise blue, and you have people there telling you all about the history of the area. Also, the food is fantastic that they serve. I have to say, and I mentioned it before, the food in New Zealand is so good. They really pride themselves on being fresh, grass-fed, sustainable food. And probably most of the is the meat pies, as I mentioned, lamb. They have kumara. Kumara is their sweet potatoes, which are fantastic, really good. And seafood. Their seafood is all fresh, caught daily. And then if you want to, there's several wellness centers throughout New Zealand, mostly on the South Island. This is on the South Island, where you could do yoga. There's a treat, a wilderness treat called Split Apple Retreat that offers, exercise, dietary, and just you get to do that all in a beautiful landscape and walking, a lot of great walks throughout New Zealand too. And we have some unique stays in New Zealand. So what we have is we have hotels, we have hostels, we have what we call luxury lodges, and we have luxury lodges throughout the whole country, which is unique to New Zealand. So there are luxury lodges where they have their own chefs on board, they have activities for passengers, for their customers. They're in unique places that offer everything like from massages to beautiful dinners to if you're celebrating a special birthday, anniversary, they will throw on the Ritz for you. And this is one of the most beautiful ones. It's the Landis. It's in Aurora Valley, and they've made it so it looks like part of the land. And this is down on the South Island, and it just overlooks the mountain ranges, remarkables. And this is just one example of the beautiful accommodations that we offer. And this is another one. This is down in Kaikoura, where I was talking about, where you could see whales and dolphin. It's a beautiful coastal town. They have like little tree houses that you could stay in. And I know the chef, and the chef is fantastic, makes beautiful food. And this is the Bay of Mini, and this is in Queen Charlotte Sound, so it's nestled up into the bush. It's a luxury, and you get Kiwi hospitality right off. You could paddleboard and see seals while you're paddleboarding. It's in a great place. And I don't know if I mentioned, but New Zealand has nothing poisonous. There's no snakes, there's no lions, there's nothing that wants to kill you. There's no poisonous spiders, nothing. Nothing is poisonous in New Zealand. So it's kind of one of those things, like I feel comfortable walking, and hiking and camping in New Zealand because I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And if you want to learn more, we have a website, newzealand.com, but we always want our advisors like Owen to help you with anything you want to know. We refer to them. They know all about New Zealand, how to get there, all the information that you would need. And we await your journey. We want you to come down and see us.
Wow. New Zealand looks absolutely stunning. You've shown us some incredible photos and some really unique experiences as you showed there. That's fantastic. Wow, what a beautiful and unique landscape and place to be in. It sounds really charming with warm people, warm hospitality, and rich cultural history that still being maintained today.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool.
Yes, we have a what we call a Tiaki promise, where we protect the land, the people, and we actually really embrace that here at Tourism New Zealand. We have little shirts that have these emblems on them, and we just love our land so much.
Oh, I believe that. And you can see why, with
Yeah.
your incredible photos. Um, Neat. Well, we'll open up the floor for questions,
Okay.
and while folks are formulating their questions, I have a few of my own.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so yeah, so I know you touched on it before, but just a quick recap.
Mhm.
What's the best time to travel to New Zealand for those of us here in the States?
Right. So we're finding the best time to travel is spring and shoulder season. You're still getting good weather. I personally like May, and especially if you go to the South Island because you get the foliage. So there's lots of things. It's still warm enough. It's beautiful. The leaves are all different colors, kind of what we get here in the east coast of the states. It's great to go there and go wine tasting because we have beautiful Pinot Noirs down there, and just it's just so beautiful. The beauty is just gorgeous. So I would suggest um, March, April, May, and then also October and November is wonderful in the springtime.
Fabulous.
Mm.
Excellent. And March, April, May, can be a little uncomfortable here, so it could be a great time to.
Yes. And it's still summertime in a way in March and April. So you still get the really nice weather, but you won't get the crowds that you would in December, January, February.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
And then, speaking of the crowds, I know, you touched on this in your, presentation, but for US citizens, can you remind us of the passport and the visa requirements?
Sure. So you have to have a valid passport. The passport has to be valid 3 months after you arrive back from your trip into America. So a lot of people don't realize that. So you want to make sure that your passport's valid at least 3 months after coming back home. The visa, there is a visa requirement. It's all online, and you just go on and you apply for it. Usually it takes about 20 minutes to get back, but they've been kind of backlogged, so they're given up to 72 hours. But you just go on to New Zealand government or New Zealand immigration, and it'll pop up and just fill out the application. I think you have to take a picture of yourself and then just upload the picture, and yeah, and then send it in and they'll send it to you.
Fantastic. Sounds pretty easy. Sounds like
Yeah,
something
and
almost
it's
to do.
yeah, sorry, it's good for 2 years.
Oh, okay. That's
Hmm.
good to know. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so we have the passport, we've talked about the visa. So, if someone's coming to visit New Zealand, what are some key items that they should think to bring with them or to pack with them for their trip?
Okay. Yeah, definitely a jacket. Um, Also, especially during the summer and maybe spring, bring sunscreen. The sun's a little bit stronger down in New Zealand than it is anywhere else, so definitely bring sunscreen. Let's see, comfortable shoes. It's pretty casual in New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably about it. Yeah, visa, passport, and then, yep, that information.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mhm.
Uh, and then when people are planning their visits, what's kind of a good duration or good length of a trip for someone to plan to see New Zealand?
Yeah, we always say about 2 weeks. Um, that's a good time where you could see kind of both islands and get to some places. Two 2 weeks is a good time frame for Americans to go down and visit. And people think it's far, but it's not that far. We always say dinner and a drink and a good night's sleep, and you're there. Most of the airlines leave in the evening, So you get there usually early in the morning, and you usually get there 2 days later because the flight leaves in the evening, and then you cross the international date line. So you will get there 2 days later in the morning. So once you get a good night's rest, and you could hit the ground running. Um, so that's it's and the time difference, I think you guys are in Central, so the time difference, I think if it's daylight savings time, it's 17 hours ahead. And
Oh,
if it's not daylight savings time, it's 18 hours ahead for Central.
okay. That's perfect. That's very good to know just how big the
Yeah.
time.
And we do
And
have gateways. The airline, I meant to tell you this with the airlines, but we do have gateways, New York, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, um, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Vancouver. So there's all the airlines have a lot of gateways throughout the country.
that's fantastic. I was looking at your airline image and I love that Chicago flight. I know that there's a lot
Yes,
of other beautiful places, but Chicago would be pretty easy for a lot of us to get to. So that's great that there's a direct flight from there.
yes. And it's about 14 and a half hour flight on the nonstops.
Wow. Yeah.
Hmm.
If you've got to, if you can't get to Europe on a nonstop, that's not uncommon for a flight in the other direction as well to be just as long, if not longer.
Hmm.
So you
It
said very
is because,
accessible.
yeah, we used to say, like if you're going to Rome, it's faster to go to New Zealand than it is to Rome.
Oh,
So,
fun.
yeah.
Perfect. Well, neat. And
Mhm.
then when folks come to visit, you talked about that there's a lot of culture that's still practiced. For language, is there a language barrier for US folks to travel?
No, most everybody speaks English, even the Maori, although there is a Maori language, but everybody speaks English.
Oh, nice. That
Mhm.
always makes it a little bit easier to get around and to
It is, yes.
find the things you're looking for. Makes you feel a little
Hmm.
bit more comfortable too sometimes. Not having to try to find the translator on your phone or on your iPad.
Hmm. It is. It's very comfortable, easy to get around, and people are so wonderful there.
They sound really warm and inviting, and sounds like a
Hmm.
really wonderful place to travel. So, when you go to visit, what is something that you order in a restaurant that makes you feel, like you're back in New Zealand or makes you feel like a local?
I like they have meat pies, which is very popular down there. I'm not a fan of that, but I usually order the lamb or I love their kumara there. Um, I like their seafood. So they have very good lamb, grass-fed lamb. And their kumara it tastes completely different than our sweet potatoes here in the States.
Oh,
That's usually when I order anything. Their cheeses, their cheeses are fantastic. Any of their dairy is fantastic. So if you get a chance, I usually bring like 3 kilos of cheese home. Like
oh,
they sell
wow.
these big blocks because their cheese is so good.
Wow.
Um, so definitely try their cheeses, try their dairy. Their butter is fantastic. Um, and then like they have cream and stuff is really good. And their wines are really well known too.
Of course. Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. And the dairy, I wouldn't have thought of that for New Zealand, but now that you say it, I guess it does make sense. It sounds really
Hmm.
delicious. Who doesn't like something with a little bit more butter or a little bit more cheese?
Yes, yes. I mean, they do serve, like if you go and visit, like restaurants will have charcuterie boards for you, just to try and stuff like that. It's really good.
Excellent. Perfect. And then
Mhm.
you touched on some really exciting things to do in New Zealand. The hot tub on top of a mountain looks incredible for those that love to golf, being able to golf right off the top of a mountain. I mean, that's a very unique experience.
Mhm.
So, and then you talked a little bit about the Fjordlands and the
Yes.
sounds, and they sound
Mhm.
incredible. What would be maybe your top two or three things that people absolutely shouldn't miss when they come to visit New Zealand?
I would say the Milford Sound, definitely. Queenstown is a site, and there's lots to do in Queenstown, like wine tasting. If there's anybody who likes trout fishing, fly fishing, we have wonderful fishing. Um, we have guides that guide you and kind of show you what to do, and it's a catch and release, but the fish are so big. We also have, a lot of activities, biking, hiking, sailing. Gosh, there's so much to do there. I'm just trying to think, like, they're all my favorite. If anybody's a golfer, they have the best golf ranges, I think, in the world.
Wow,
So, mhm.
neat. Because it just sounds like that there's nothing that you can't do, it sounds like, in New Zealand.
And there's unique stuff. If you're adventure, there's blackwater rafting, which is where you go under the cave and you have a full wetsuit on and hat, and you go rafting in the caves.
Wow,
There's rappelling, bungee jumping, of course. Lots of different activities to do there.
very neat. That is so
Hmm.
cool. And then you mentioned Hobbiton, I think you mentioned,
Hmm.
and that just
Yes.
sounds very unique as well to be on a movie set of, something that was more than just one movie, a trilogy and then some.
Mhm.
And it looks very unique, and it sounds like a really incredible experience to be able to have a meal and then walk around with lanterns at night. Just
Yeah.
sounds like something that you just would have to do while you're there.
Yeah, because you can't do it anywhere else. And the storytelling that the guides tell you is just amazing. Like how Peter Jackson, who's the director of the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, he saw a tree and he came to the house of the people who own it, and the guy said, "Hey, could you come back? I'm watching the rugby." You know, just stories like that are just amazing. And so it's a lot of fun.
Man, that sounds amazing. Yep, just sounds so fun. Very cool.
It
Well,
is.
I just have another couple of questions for you, but I do want to remind folks that are watching at home that you're welcome to put your questions into the chat. We are keeping an eye there, and we'd be happy to ask them for you. So we've talked a lot about the cool things to do in New Zealand. Is there anything that you could think of that would be more specific for those that might be traveling with a with
Mhm.
kids?
Yeah, I think, I saw this question and I was trying to think. I mean, I think pretty much everything they can do. I believe, like, there's lots of bike riding, lots of big paths for bike riding, whether you do it on a pathway through Hawke's Bay, which is just beautiful. It's wineries everywhere. They could hop on a motorcycle, like a Harley Davidson motorcycle, if they wanted to. They could, someone drives, and then they have like side cars that they could drive on. They have a lot, like in Rotorua, they have a lot of, if they want to zorb down a hill, which is in a ball, and they go down the hill. I'm just trying to think of some adventures. There's also what's really great in Auckland, New Zealand. It's a great experience. Kids would love this. Is the All Black experience. So the All Blacks are the rugby team for New Zealand, the national rugby team. So they have a like interactive museum about the All Blacks, and it's a lot about how they train, how they play the game, how they think before the game. You go into the locker room, you sit down, and you could hear them talking. They show the haka, which is the dance that they do before any match, which is amazing. They could kick a rugby ball, they could throw it. There's games on computer that you could do to help make your mind fast thing. All Blacks would be great. And there's also in the same building is the Workshop. The Weta Workshop is the makeup people who did all the Hobbit makeup and um, design and all that. So going through that would be fantastic for them. There's,
Wow.
they learn how to do makeup and they'll put scars on you and things like that. There's also the America's Cup sailing race. So they have America's Cup boats where you're on one boat, another boat, and there's two boats that are racing, and they tell you the whole instruction of how to start and how to do all the grinding and the tacking and all that, which I
Wow.
think kids would really like too.
Yeah, very neat.
Mhm.
It sounds like kind of something for everyone, something for guys and girls, and those that are very sports
Yes.
focused, those that are a little bit more
Mhm.
creative, and then those that are looking for kind of an outdoor top-notch experience with that American Cup experience. How neat. Sounds
Yeah.
sounds really fun.
Yeah. It's New Zealand's for all ages.
It sounds like it. Um,
Mhm.
and then my last question is, if you happen to know, do you know how to say thank you in the local language, Maori culture?
Yes, I do now. I wrote it down. I had to look it up. And whether I say it right is right. Okay, so it's um Waka Waitai.
Waka Waitai.
Mm-hmm.
What a
I can
beautiful
spell it for
word.
you. It's WHAKAWHETAI.
Beautiful. Waka
Yeah.
Waitai. What a
It's a
beautiful.
beautiful language and it's great to hear.
I bet. I bet.
Hmm.
Gonna check in on our chat real quick and make sure that I'm not missing any questions. It does look like we do have one question.
Okay.
Um, so this question is about food and restaurants in New Zealand. And for folks that are maybe working with special diets, maybe a whole food or a whole plant-based diet, so no meats, or those that are working with vegetarian or vegan or maybe gluten-free, are there restaurants that accommodate um, those types of diets, or can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, they're a little bit like the States where there's everything is offered. They do have special restaurants that offer like vegan and they do have, vegetarian, things like that. They do have special restaurants, but they're so cognizant of people's dietary and wanting to feed you their great sustainable food. There would be no problem with that at all. And because they have tourists come from all different countries, they really cater to all different cultures, and you'll see all kinds of food there. Whether it's Asian food or Indian food, Mexican. They even have a couple Mexican places,
Oh,
um, which are really good. Yeah, they just have pretty much everything, and they're really known for their food scene. If you're a foodie, New Zealand's a place to go.
excellent. Neat. I know
Mhm.
that for those that have special dietary maybe restraints or just like preferences, that
Mhm.
knowing that they can travel someplace where they can get a good meal can really help decide which destination to go to. Um, and
Yes.
like, and then for those that want to maybe enjoy some of the harvest,
Mhm.
it would be that springtime would be a good time to go, like you said, with the vineyards harvesting their grapes and producing their wine, and then
Yes.
also maybe the farms having some really fresh
Mhm.
produce coming out of the field. Would that be right?
Mhm. Yes. Um, I mean, I'm a foodie and I look forward to going down there and tasting their wonderful food. Um, they're it, and I've been there all throughout the year, the different seasons, and they just offer so much there. They have really great salads too, I think.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing that they do not serve. There's
There's something for everyone, and
there's
you can
something
find
for everybody there. Yeah.
beautiful. Well, perfect.
Mhm.
I think those are all the questions that we have for everyone tonight. This has been just a stunning journey through a stunning landscape, and very excited about all of the possibilities of visiting New Zealand, all the things that someone can do there when they travel. So thank you, Terry, so much for
You're
bringing
welcome.
this
I
up
loved
for
it.
us. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Bye-bye,
Yeah.
everybody. I hope to see you down in New Zealand.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Bye-bye.